IDWKB. So, the story that came out of the Kansas City area on the Missouri side in recent weeks involves another incident of something that we have been covering here on Burn It Down with Kim Brown, and that is the nationwide issue of evictions and people being forcibly removed from their homes by police. And sometimes those confrontations have turned violent, right? Such was the case in Independence, Missouri, where Larry, what is this man's name? Acree, 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 Larry Acree, 69 years old, had lived in his Independence, Missouri home for over 20 years. Over those years, according to the Kansas City Star. We'll pop that article up for me if you could. Larry Acree had lived this Independence, Missouri home for a long time. He had a number of tax liens filed against him by the Missouri Department of Revenue, the tax niggas, right? For over a year, authorities in Jackson County had made notice to Larry that because he owed now $28,000 in back property taxes, that they would be coming to remove him from his property. They were coming to evict him. They had left numerous notices on his door. Okay. And when the Jackson County process server, oh man, Drexel Mack, I believe is his name. I don't think it's Dexter. I think it was Drexel Mack. He was the Jackson County process server. He was a black man. He showed up to Larry Acree's home along with some Independence, Missouri police officers. And when Larry Acree saw that the Jackson County process server and the Independence police had entered his home and were trying to evict him, he opened fire, killing Mr. Mack and killing an Independence police officer by the name of Cody Allen. Two other officers from Independence, Missouri were also shot. The first place we're going to go is to the press conference from the Jackson County prosecutor's office. And I want you guys to notice a couple of things. So far online, I have not found any pictures of Larry Acree, right? And initially, I was a bit confused when I saw pictures. Well, can you pop up a picture or pop up the article or pick something to pop up? But whatever you get your hands on is fine. I do want to show you the photos of the people that I'm talking about here. But one photo that has remained conspicuously absent so far from the internet is the picture of the suspect, Larry Acree. And the only reason I know Larry Acree is a white man is for two reasons. For one, when the reports came in that a homeowner facing eviction shot three cops, killed one, killed another person, and this person themselves was taken alive, I said, only a white, only a white, only a white. Juxtaposed especially with the story we just told you about Melvin J. in Prince George's County. This man shot in his own home for not complying within 5 seconds. But the white man in Missouri shoot three cops and taken alive. Will, can we get a picture or article, my good man? Okay, I don't care. Can you pick one? Because I would like to have some accompanying visuals so I can be descriptive with my story. There we go. All right. So there we go. That's the story from the Kansas City Star. The man has been charged in the fatal shooting during an eviction in the Kansas City area. Was a recluse, neighbors say. Yeah, the neighbors have got some stories a bit about Larry Acree, again, 69-year-old white man. And again, how'd I know he was white? Because he shot three cops and lived to tell the tale. But also the Jackson County prosecutor said he was white in her press conference, which we're about to hear clips from. So, Will, let's go ahead and actually hear from the Jackson County prosecutor, who has charged 69-year-old Larry Acree with 2 counts of first-degree murder and a slew of other charges as it relates to the shooting injuries of at least 2 other officers. But I want y'all to pay attention to the kicker, because there's some kickers in this press conference, and they're going to come pretty quick. And one of the kickers, I'm such a bad spoiler person. Spoiler alert. The spoiler is that if Larry could put his hands on $2 million, Larry could get the fuck out of jail. He killed 2 people. Killed 2 people. Killed a cop. And he got a bond. Don't believe me? Listen to the prosecutor. Let's take a look.
Matter. The defendant's name in this case is Larry Acree. He is a white male whose last known residence was in Independence, Missouri. And he has been charged with multiple charges. As I get to that, I want to tell you that he's in custody on a $2 million bond. He's in a hospital at this moment, but he's expected to be transported to the Jackson County Detention Center as soon as he is able. Basically, what led us here is a year-long eviction process had been underway, a year long. And so we really started this process, or I should say the court process, on the notice to vacate. That process had been ongoing for some time. Drexel, who had been to that property before, of course, was there on February 29th to complete that service and process and to actually evict Mr. Acree from the property. Of course, they took multiple steps to make sure that that property was secured and safe to go into. They knocked and announced their presence. Of course, there had been previous notice on the property, and they did receive no answer at the front door and no indication that anybody was in the residence. Because of that, then they proceeded to remove the locks. So they were there for a time, having those locks cut and drilled out so that they could enter. But as Drexel and others were entering to the front door of the residence, he was met with gunfire, and he was immediately fell to the, my understanding is right at that front door of the residence. And that is where additional officers then quickly responded to the scene. Those were the Independence police officers. And as officers do, they were attempting to save Mr. Mack's life by removing him from the property to get him medical care, when they were met with gunfire as well. And as you know, that resulted in the loss of one other officer's life and other officers shot.
So, Will, if you could, can you put up the picture of the officer and Drexel Mack? My apologies if I misstated his name. Drexel Mack was a Jackson County process server. The black gentleman was the process server there to serve the eviction. Officer Allen was there as backup support. They were both murdered, allegedly, here by 69-year-old Larry Acree. Drexel Mack, the black dude, 41, you guys, only 41 years old. And it sucks. I don't, of course, it's a tragedy. Let me be clear. Let me not say flippantly in any way that it sucks. It does suck, but it is a tragic loss for this man's family, and we definitely send our condolences. I hate that, we are living in a time of, high evictions. People are getting kicked out of their homes, kicked off their properties. And people are going to react hostilely and violently to that. I don't really think that the police should be involved when it comes to removing people with force or by force from their homes, regardless of the reason that they are behind in their rent, behind their taxes, doesn't matter. When you are literally displacing people and placing their material security, their daily needs and everything, when you're placing those things at risk or you're outright taking those things away from people, you can't expect people to respond peacefully, right? Like, I guess that is why the police, show up. But our society, and I guess our state, our government, like, we need to do better about keeping people housed because it's truly a public safety issue, right? It's not just a safety issue, I suppose, for people who have to make those notifications and enforce that. It's definitely a safety issue for them. This is not the first time this has happened, and not even the first time we've covered it here on this platform, where people getting put out start blaming, right? But for the people that are losing their homes themselves, it is a public safety issue for them because they are no longer safe when they are unhoused, right? And it's just sort of this callousness, this disposability of capitalism, this rugged individualism. Oh, well, you didn't pay your bill, well, I guess you failed at life, so we're just gonna throw you and all your shit out on the street. Your house is gonna be empty for a while, nobody gonna live in it, but your ass definitely can't live in it, so get your shit. We got officers, the sheriff is here with his gun on you. It's bad. I mean, that's a bad system. That's a bad practice, bad protocol, which also leads to bad outcomes, right? But the other issue with this is clearly the way and the stark contrast in which Larry Acree, the white man who killed two people and shot two others, was taken into custody alive, guys. He's in the hospital. I wasn't exactly clear on the extent of his injuries, but he's in the hospital. But I think they anticipate him being released from the hospital soon. And they're going to take him to the Jackson County Detention Center. But did y'all hear the part where she said that Larry Acree has a $2 million bond? $2 million bond. Now, does Larry Acree have $2 million? No, because if he had 2 million, he'd have had $28,000 to pay in taxes. But the point is, y'all, if he had $2 million, he could be the fuck out of jail. Do you see the two-tier system? Well, three-tier. There's two-tier for race, three-tier for class. If Larry was a wealthy white, he'd be at home chilling with two bodies on him while the other officers is in the hospital recovering. Larry would be in the house sipping cognac if he was a wealthy white. But the fact that he was a white is the reason he even had an option for a bond, okay? Let a black perpetrator, let a black shooter come out here and kill basically a public servant in the form of the Jackson County process server like Drexel Mack was, and let a black man or a black person outright murder the Independence, Missouri police officer Cody Allen. You think they giving him any kind of bond? 2 million, 10 million. You think the black man going to get a bond? Nope. Held without bond, remanded for trial. I mean, the privileges and the accordances in which white people who do demonstrably terrible and violent things, the level of grace and opportunity to redeem or be given a second chance. Well, if Larry had $2 million, he could go home and process the error of his ways. If only he had to. But Melvin J. in PG County had 5 seconds to put his fucking hands up before he got a bullet to the face. Real quick about Larry Acree, the alleged man, and I say alleged, I don't know, alleged, the guy who allegedly killed these two folks in Independence and shot two others. Kansas City Star did an interesting deep dive on him, and he has a history of violence. He has a number of protective orders filed against him by former spouses, former girlfriends. And, and Missouri has no red flag law, right? And when we ignore violent misogyny, right? When you or when authorities would look at Larry Acree's record and be like, "Oh, well, he's had a couple protective orders against him, but we it should be fine if we go over there." Like, I seen him the one time, he talked all right, we don't take misogyny and domestic violence, specifically against women. We don't take that shit seriously enough. We don't take it as much of an indicator of someone's very violent personality, right? Because people look at it and assume like domestic situations are only exclusive to the intimate interactions between those two people. Not just right. Some of the most people that commit prolific acts of mass violence usually have violence against women in their background, right? And that's not something to ignore. I read this book called Men Who Hate Women by Laura Bates. I told y'all about this shit, right? Laura Bates is a British woman. Laura Bates read her people down. I said, "You better go, white lady. You better talk about these violent white men out here." I appreciated the book. I did, because she was very honest. But one of the things that she revealed in the book is that a lot of these mass shooters, who come from the manosphere, and there is, different subsections of the manosphere, um, the men's rights activists and the pickup artists and the men who go their own way. Like, it's a lot of subsets of the manosphere, and a good many of them who committed, mass shootings in Toronto, Canada, committed mass shootings in Oregon, committed the one guy who committed that horrific mass shooting in Christchurch, New Zealand. They were all active in manospheric spaces promoting misogynist views and promoting violence against women, promoting rape even, right? But nobody pays attention to that. When these instances get reported, it's never he had a history of hating women. And that was a leading indicator to what he ended up doing, violently to a lot of people, to a mass of people. Like, that doesn't get included, and it needs to be, right? And I would suggest to these cops, to these public servants, if you're coming to someone's house, if your job is to literally disrupt and turn upside down someone's life, someone's sense of security, you better be ready for that fucking action. And I mean that. Like, that ain't just me. I'm saying, leading based off anecdotal trends of people turning violent when they are getting evicted, or people responding to the violence of eviction. Let me say that better. People themselves responding to the violence of eviction, because the eviction itself is violence, right? So if people become violent, that's a response to the violence that they're experiencing, because their whole world is being displaced. They are being dispossessed of where they live. You better expect that shit. And you better do your research. And you better do your Googles. And you better take seriously accusations of domestic violence, incidents, provable, which Larry Acree has, right? According to court documents, there was pictures, photos, of, I believe, his fourth wife when she pursued an order of protection against him. I take seriously men who commit violence against women, and I perceive them as being violent, or the potential is there for them to be violent to everybody. So I did want to send condolences to Drexel Mack's family, even to the family of Officer Allen, because it sucks. I mean, it's bad. It's not good. But let me be clear. Like, America is not a democracy that I'm interested in protecting, that I'm interested in upholding, that I'm even interested in making better, because I don't see how you improve on a fucking colony. A colony is a colony, right? A colony has masters and subjects. And it is very clear that the intention of this colony going forward is to make sure that black people and women and brown people and gay people and trans people and people who are migrants remain subservient to this system, right? And our lives are never going to be valued equally. But I'm not here to support a system that takes Larry Acree alive, takes him into custody alive, and Melvin J gets shot in the face in his own house with nothing in his hands. Like, I want that kind of system to fall the fuck down. Like, you deserve to fail. I want you to fail. I'm rooting for you to fail. You can call it unpatriotic. You can call it anarchy. You can call it whatever the fuck you want. But don't call me a fucking simp for this empire. Don't call me as a one. Don't you want to protect democracy? Bitch, I don't see the fucking democracy. I see it being meted out very specifically according to your race, class, gender, and gender identity, right? Your ethnic origin. All these things play too much of a factor in whether or not you will be treated humanely by the state. And I'm sorry, that's not a state that I want to continue to survive and exist and thrive. That's a state that needs to be burnt down, and we need to reform this society in the way that we know that it can be. We find ways for people to stay in their homes. We provide housing for folks. We don't come around with guns and tell people to get the fuck out the house, right? Like they're doing in Israel to the Palestinians. Oh, that's a threat.